Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is an auspicious moment in the annals of our nation, particularly as we set out with this grand finale, day 2 of the Startup Summit. But before I progress, it'll be expedient to say thank you to all those that made this possible. We'll first of all like to thank the team. All right, without the team, we probably wouldn't be here today. Secondly, I'd like to thank the bundle of talents that were exuded through our through our speakers, indeed, and the panelists all through yesterday. The energy simply palpable, and indeed our audience. What and where we will be without the audience? The audience from all cities, without any limitations, properly, all well logged in. I just want to say thank you, and indeed, my words are few, but indeed, you can't even understand how excited and overwhelmed I am with the show of love and support that we have gotten, particularly from all the speakers, from the panelists, the keynote speakers, and today promises to even be even bigger every day, almost like our theme song for the last month. It's getting bigger every day. I remember yesterday whilst availing a message, a goodwill message, and indeed my welcome address. We talked around the Startup Africa Academy. Before the end of today, you'll get links and access to be able to become a part of the first cohort, which starts on the 15th of January. 6 weekends, and then you'll be certified, with the skills to set your ball rolling regarding your enterprise. Our focus really, when you hear startups, is around small, medium enterprises, innovation-driven enterprises, and social enterprises. And we believe that this is a journey we must make if we truly want to make Nigeria and indeed Africa great again. I'd like to say thank you once again. And here at this moment, I would like to invite our guest speaker who is currently in the studio. We have our guest speaker in the studio. We have our keynote speaker in the studio. But let's follow the order because now we're bringing up our guest speaker. I'd like to read out his profile briefly. TONYE PREGHAFI is the Divisional Managing Director of Red Star Support Services, a subsidiary of Red Star Express PLC. Before his current appointment, he was the Divisional Managing Director of Red Star Freight, also a subsidiary of Red Star Express PLC. He is an accomplished C-level senior management professional, learning and development consultant, and market strategy expert with almost 2 decades, laden with multifaceted experience in all aspects of corporate management, including operations, general management, administration rather, learning and development, P&L oversight, multi-channel product distribution, and marketing, and has consistently demonstrated a penchant for superseding corporate goals. TONYE PREGHAFI holds a bachelor's degree in history from Lagos State University, Ojo, and an MBA from the prestigious Business School, Netherlands. He has attended several management and leadership training within and outside of Nigeria and has garnered a unique multicultural perspective to workforce behavioral patterns. He is a member of the Institute of Directors, a member of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, and a fellow of the Institute of Credit Administration. He also currently sits as the chairman, board of trustees of the Red Star Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Mr. TONYE PREGHAFI. Special round of applause. Special round of applause. Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for the team of the Startup Summit. I followed yesterday's sessions and it was mind-blowing. Thank you very much for putting this together.
I hand over the virtual lecture to you. Please proceed with your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again for the team for having me. My name is TONYE, as has been introduced, and I currently sit as the Divisional Mine Director for Red Star Support Services, a subsidiary of Red Star Express PLC, the foremost logistics service provider in this part of the globe. And today I'll be speaking on transformative change in building an enabling ecosystem for startups and SMEs in Nigeria. As we are all aware, the role small businesses play in the growth and development of any economy is enormous. Micro, small, and medium enterprises remain the fulcrum of socioeconomic transformation and industrialization of many economies globally. They play critical roles and project themselves as veritable platforms for growth. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, today, MSMEs have performed below expectations due to several reasons, ranging from the entrepreneurs themselves and the external business environment with which they have found themselves. However, small businesses are classified, differently according to different countries. But in Nigeria, the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDA, classified MSMEs as follows. Micro enterprises are enterprises that have a workforce not exceeding 10 employees and total assets of less than 10 million naira. Small enterprises are enterprises that have a workforce of above 10 but not exceeding 49 employees and have a total assets of above 10 million naira but not exceeding 100 million naira. While medium enterprises have a workforce of between 50 and 199 people and assets of above 100 million naira, but not exceeding 1 billion naira. These are the classification of MSMEs according to SMEDA, the agency that oversees the activities of micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria. To put it in a proper context, the role that MSMEs play in every economy is very, very massive. The World Bank report states that MSMEs represent about 90% of businesses and provide more than 50% employment globally. More than 50% employment globally. And also 40% of the GDP in emerging economies is contributed by formal SMEs. So you see how big and massive that the role that MSMEs play in every economy. In Nigeria today, the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics and SMEDA posited that nearly 50% of Nigeria's GDP is contributed by SMEs. And they also account for over 80% of employment in the country. Now, let me put this in a proper context. The fastest growing sectors of the Nigerian economy over the past 3 quarters in 2020 are finance and the telecom sector. They are employment inelastic, which means that they can only employ about 2.2% of the population, of the employment population in Nigeria. And from this report by National Bureau of Statistics, SMEs alone can employ as much as 80% in the country. So this also puts in proper perspective and context the role that SMEs play in every economy. And something that we need to clear before we continue is the interchangeable use by some observers of SMEs and startups. Startups focus on disrupting markets and driving top-line revenue at an exponential pace. However, small businesses are more interested in setting long-term goals geared towards a stable growth in an existing market. So this is the small difference between MSMEs and startups. A lot of the times people use say, oh, it's based on revenue or it's based on the number of employees. No, it's when you are in the business that you actually know they are able to differentiate between MSMEs and the startups. Now, going on to the Nigerian entrepreneurial ecosystem. What is it all about? What does it entail? You know, if you look at Nigeria, Nigeria is a large country of almost 200 million people, you know, which from the external perspective, it makes it an entrepreneurial haven. And so you find out, you know, organizations, retail organizations globally want to have one thing or the other to do with Nigeria. They want to come here, and because they are moved by the population, they are moved by the numbers, and they begin to calculate and simulate and do a lot of, you know, analysis and simulations in seeing how they can benefit from that population. But, you know, currently from numbers that have been shared by the National Bureau of Statistics, we are in a serious quagmire as regards our economy. 14.23% inflation, 27.1% unemployment rate, and when you add underemployment, it goes as high as 55%. And currently we're in a recession, which has been made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, which started as a health crisis, moved on to an economic crisis, and today has transformed into a full-blown recession. This has crippled SMEs. To put it mildly, SMEs are currently at the forefront of the struggle, with consequences being especially severe on them due to higher levels of vulnerability that they are faced with the current COVID-19 crisis. So what are entrepreneurial ecosystems? These are support systems of interdependent actors directly or indirectly supporting the creation and growth of new businesses. They are like the business environment. So if you find yourself in a particular business environment, that is really the ecosystem. So they create an enabling environment that reinforces growth and allows businesses to move from startups and scale. There are a lot of reasons why a lot of businesses don't scale in Nigeria. But one thing I will try to do with my presentation today is not to delve on the problems, on the challenges. Because every time you wake up in the morning and look at the entrepreneurial ecosystem or whatever ecosystem that you play in, it is bedeviled with challenges. And so I'll try as much as possible not to touch on too many challenges. Instead, we'll look at how we can improve on what we're doing going forward. The entrepreneurial ecosystem, taken from what we're going to share now, is adapted from a framework of the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs. Their diagnostic toolkits broke down the entrepreneurial ecosystem into the following: policy and regulation, capacity building, access to finance, access to markets, access to resources, business support, research and development, the entrepreneur themselves, as well as the culture with which these entrepreneurs play. You see, this ecosystem have different key players, and they all contribute towards ensuring the success or otherwise of the entrepreneurial flow. So whether you're a startup or you're an SME, these players within the ecosystem will usually play major roles in the space. So in terms of policy and regulations, the focus here is on ministries, departments, and agencies, different parastatals that have to do and regulate issues that have to do with your industry that you're playing in, access to finance, commercial banks, angel investors, NGOs, foundations, leasing companies, access to markets, large distribution networks that provide access accelerators, incubators, industry clusters, business support, mentoring, coaching, consulting, entrepreneurship development centers, just like the sessions that we're having here today, research and development, knowledge and skill creation, and the key players here are governments, institutions, academic institutions, incubators and accelerators. The culture also drives the entrepreneurial ecosystem. You know, it has been seen that culture influences a lot. In the Igbo culture, for example, there's the NGUNENGEN apprentice model. You find out that people are willing to go and learn from their bosses, and after a while, after passing through an apprenticeship process, they now can stand on their own and become masters of their own. And you know, so culture influences entrepreneurial growth in different parts of the country, and so it's also a major player in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. The entrepreneur itself, or him or herself, you know, they are the center of the ecosystem. Without them, there's no ecosystem. In Nigeria, a greater percentage of adults believe that they have the requisite skills to run their own businesses, with 53% of the total entrepreneurship activities driven by opportunities to improve the socio-economic environment. And so, what are the current realities we are faced with? Here we are saying that we must build ecosystems that enables businesses to scale. We must build ecosystems that enables businesses to scale. So the various players in the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria today need to ensure that businesses scale. A lot of businesses die before even getting to their 50th year. Statistics show that 90% of businesses will die, 90% of startups will die before getting to their 50th year. And so micro businesses make up about 99% of MSMEs in Nigeria. This suggests an increase in the number of startups without the corresponding increase in the number of businesses that have successfully scaled. So micro businesses, like we have said earlier, are businesses that do a revenue of below 10 million, and they contribute as much as 99% to the number of MSMEs that we have in this country. So what is the way forward? We believe that firstly, there's a need to foster collaboration within the ecosystem. This takes precedence over other considerations to create a win-win situation. Collaboration is very key. It's very, very important. You know, where we find ourselves today, the economy we find ourselves globally is a sharing economy. Nobody wants to stand alone and say, oh, I want to do this. Take case in point, the telecom industry. When GSM came up in Nigeria, you know, then the different telecom companies wanted to own their masts. But today they are all sharing masts. Why is that so? Because it is more cost effective to do some of these things. So you find people who reside in a particular place, instead of sharing assets, sharing, you know, certain things, everybody wants to own their own. Collaboration is very important. People cannot be doing things on their own and think that they can succeed in the world of today. Secondly, obtaining finance has been identified as the most pressing problem MSMEs face today. This is according to a 2020 MSME report by PwC. MSMEs cannot contribute 50% of GDP and suffer annual funding gaps which has been put at about 617 billion naira. And these are just pre-COVID-19 estimates. 617 billion naira has been estimated to be the annual funding gaps of MSMEs in Nigeria. And these are pre-COVID-19 estimates. I'm sure that if the survey is carried out again now, it will have gone up. We must fix the funding problems of MSMEs and startups. There might even be a need to differentiate the funding of micro businesses and startups because their drive and their focus is different. Some are just to meet basic needs, while some are supposed to fix a lot of innovative or to bring up a lot of innovative solutions to fundamental problems that Nigeria is faced with today. Thirdly, government needs to improve the ease of doing business in Nigeria. It shouldn't be about rhetorics all the time, but about real action. Rhetorics without the support, without the implementation of key solutions would not take us anywhere. Today we are jumping helter-skelter because of the forex issues we have. This is because of our total dependence on oil for export. And in the GDP, the sector, the oil and gas sector does not contribute that. They contribute only, about between 5 and 7% to Nigeria's GDP. But in terms of our revenue, they give us as high as over 80%, 80 to 90% of our revenue. So imagine if government can improve the ease of doing business, where other sectors can export items and get foreign exchange for the country. It will go a long way. It is good to also state here that, the agri sector that, we've all been clamoring for, a lot of people have been exporting agri produce through neighboring countries. Why is that so? Because the bottleneck, the export bottleneck in Nigeria is killing. It kills a lot of business, does not encourage you to proceed with what you want to do. So you find out people move out of Nigeria and go to do businesses in neighboring countries because the enabling environment is there for them. And finally, there's a need to upskill ourselves, both the entrepreneurs and all the players in the ecosystem. Knowledge acquisition is critical. You don't see a neighbor doing business and the next thing you want to do it without having enough understanding of the sector that you are very into. And so I will advocate something that they're doing in Rwanda, which is the establishment of entrepreneurial support organizations that will be industry focused. They will be like experts within that industry. They can interface between entrepreneurs and the various players in the ecosystem, such that people understand the business that they're trying to sell and can also support you through trainings and and access to different incubators and accelerators to help you scale your business. As I had mentioned earlier, the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Nigeria currently sits at number 131 in the 190 ranked in the number 190 countries that were surveyed. We are 179 in trading across borders. That's very obvious. We have locked our border for almost 2 years now. We're 183 in terms of property registration. A lot of companies will not come to Nigeria because registering properties here is Herculean. And some of those retail organizations that are abroad actually deal in real estate than doing the retail that they do. If you read the history of McDonald's, they'll tell you, even Carrefour in Europe, they'll tell you that what they do is majorly real estate. So if there are challenges with property registration in this part of the world, what else would you expect? That's why we are 183. We are 159 in terms of paying taxes. This is also a challenge that businesses face in this part of the world. Multiple taxations from states to federal to local governments. Resolving insolvency issues, we are number 148 in the world. In terms of getting electricity, this cannot be overflogged. And starting a business, we are 105. These are just a few that we picked. In Africa, Mauritius is sitting at number 13, in the ease of doing business ranking. Rwanda is on number 38. South Africa is 81, Kenya is 56, Togo is 97, and so on. And so, in concluding this session, I would like to say that take the words of Clayton Christensen in his book, The Prosperity Paradox. If you want to lift people out of poverty, you need to create more prosperity. How do you create more prosperity? There's a need for us to empower a lot of our SMEs. Our current unemployment and underemployment rate sits at about 55%. Empowering our SMEs and startups to thrive will reduce this number by a massive margin. Imagine if the number of MSMEs we have in this country, if they are able to, be stronger than they are and can employ more people, these numbers that we have in terms of employment and underemployment or unemployment rate would drop drastically. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this morning. I'll be available for questions if need be. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. That was great. I love the fact that was so concise and yet good. The issues around knowledge acquisition, the ease of doing business. Wow. Thank you, TONYE, for such, I love the fact that you came prepared. A lot of people have asked for the slides. We've also asked that they go into the Telegram community where we're able to give them updates as to getting more information. So I just want to even read some of the comments. Somebody says, great points. I had at some point somebody saying we need to solve the tax issues. Someone says that on YouTube says funding must be fixed. All right. I see someone says that there's a need for collaboration. So yeah, wow, this is amazing. I can't thank you enough. And this is your point. We're going to take the conversation beyond now. And like you're aware, the Startup Academy, the Startup Africa Academy is on now. And from the 15th of January, we're going to be with the first course. So it will be nice to also have you come and share more of this insight with our students. Someone says, Mr. PREGHAFI, thank you for your time and your presentation. Any final words, all right? Just final words, and then you're able to take it.
I will, without delving too much into the presentation, I would just like to appreciate you and your team for putting this, kind of sessions on. It takes a lot to have this kind of knowledge philanthropy sessions. People register for free and take all this. I listened to the sessions yesterday, and today's sessions also, I'm sure, are going to be mind-blowing. We need to encourage small business owners and startups to seek knowledge. It's very little just going to the university or, going to a tertiary institution or a vocational institute and think that you've gotten all the knowledge that you need to get. You need to reach out to mentors. You need to reach out to people who have done those businesses, who have made mistakes in the past. And that's what a lot of tech startups do these days. And so I'll appreciate the kind of platform that you have created. And I'll encourage people to take advantage of this and then, to upskill themselves in the business world of today. Everyone has a certificate. What stands you out is the additional knowledge that you have been able to pull to yourself. Such that when opportunities meet you, you are prepared and you are ready for the next level of scaling up. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day ahead.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Well, we'll take this on. And I need to just have our keynote speaker in the house. So yeah, it's been a great time. We're going to be taking this conversation afterwards. And from my heart to you, you are phenomenal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. People say absolutely great session. And we just started, all right? Today promises to be an interesting day. TONYE, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm getting ready to bring in the guest. The keynote speaker for day two The first session will be headed by Ini Abimbola, and I'm going to be reading her profile. She's already in the studio. Ini Abimbola is a business leader with over 20 years experience working in the international development space with broad consulting experience and expertise on corporate governance, management consulting, sustainability, development, communication, and strategy. He is the founder and the former lead consultant CEO of PREGHAFI Consulting Limited, TPC, a management consulting, sustainability, strategy, and business advisory firm she founded in 2010. TPC provides strategy development, sustainability management, process improvement, organizational transformation, risk governance, performance management, program management, and advisory centers. It serves as a country and regional lead Sub-Saharan Africa for the CSR company, a global CSR network of organizations spanning 4 continents. When I say 4 continents, I mean 4 continents: Southeast Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. She is a lecturer and member of the faculty MBA program on the International Corporate Social Management at the Ferdinand Porsche FH University of Applied Sciences, Austria. Guides boards, executives, governance, risk, and sustainability practitioners towards social, entrepreneurial, environmental, and economic innovation that also creates stakeholders and business value. She's a specialist on corporate governance, sustainability leadership, and transformational business practices and relationships, and has facilitated high-level board retreats and trained C-suite executives both within the private and public sector. Before setting up our company, Ini served as executive director of Women in Management and Business, WIMBIS, as executive secretary, where she not only helped revitalize the organization, but also moved membership from about 100 members to over 300 members. Ini has also created the mentoring program, the corporate governance program for SMEs, as well as ensuring the organization joins global platforms such as Vital Voices and African Women Business Network, receiving over $200,000 in grants to enhance its operation in Nigeria. You know what? This is like a full, all right, so, but let me run now. She's passionate about social change and sits on the board of the Bridge Leadership Foundation, focused on leadership, transformational leadership for young people. She also sits on the board of the advisory board of the Purple Girl Foundation, a non-profit organization that provides opportunities and support for enhancing the education of female children in Nigeria. Ini has published 3 books and over 25 publications and has delivered more than 120 presentations in over 15 countries in the last 10 years on a range of topics, some of which include corporate governance, change management, enterprise development, corporate social responsibility, and sustainability. She is a member of the Council for the Development of Social Science Research in Africa, CODESA, and the Institute of Health. Ini sits on the board of advisory councils of various other organizations, including Amazing Amazons, BCB Resources, Serendipity Communications, Accelerate, Speed Mills, and Gem Factor. Ladies and gentlemen, with a virtual, rousing welcome, please welcome Big Six, Ini Abimbola. Great. You're looking so beautiful and radiant as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Taiwo. And thank you to your team for having me. That was a long citation you had to read. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me very well.
Absolutely. Clearly. Can we all hear? Yes, good. We can hear you. So I'm handing over the virtual lecture to you now, Madam Ini. Take control and let's have a wonderful roller coaster.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Taiwo, and your team for having me. Thank you for the privilege to share some thoughts with everyone this morning. It is absolutely an honor and a pleasure indeed. I am always very excited when I have to talk about entrepreneurship and the realities of entrepreneurship and how we can thrive, building ecosystems, particularly now that we have the opportunities. So thank you so much for having me on the Startup Summit, and congratulations on putting this together, and I am sure that everyone that is attending is definitely taking something fantastic and worthwhile from here. I want to thank Mr. PREGHAFI for the excellent presentation that he gave. He actually makes my work easy because he's already given us a fantastic background, and some of the things that I'm about to share, he's also shared a bit of it. I will just add um, my own perspective. And also to note that what I am sharing just serves, and these are just conversation starters. They are actually to prepare for the panel the panels that happen after now, in terms of business support and funding for startups. So the conversation that I will have, it's just to get us to think a bit deeper as entrepreneurs and to understand the realities of what it is that entrepreneurship is all about and how we can thrive. So quickly looking at it, we always have conversations. I hear a lot of people say that, everybody should be an entrepreneur. You should have a side hustle, even if you have a 9 to 5. Some will say fire your boss. You can't be living someone else's dreams and things like that. I don't want to go into all of that because inspiration and motivation are one thing, reality is another thing. And that's what you always have to remember. And I'm one of those mentors that say to my mentees, it's okay to have a side hustle as long as it's not taking your focus away. And how you are able to manage that takes a whole lot of knowledge and engagement. So you need to be very sure before you start that. Why? Because entrepreneurship is a high stakes game. It's a high stakes game. You need to know your odds before you go in. It's not something you do because, oh, I have a passion for selling this. I have a passion for creating this solutions. I have a passion for this is what I've always dreamed about. I remember someone had asked me, are entrepreneurs born or made? And I said, some entrepreneurs are born, and those entrepreneurs that are born with entrepreneurship mindsets are those that grow up in families that entrepreneurship they are born into a family of entrepreneurs. So that's why we say they're born. But beyond that, every other person, has to learn the ropes and the nuggets and how to walk that very thin and tight rope of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is not about popularity, it's about making money. And so if you're going there to be popular, to be called CEO, founder, owner, then you are not focused to. You are not focused at all. So you need to understand, first of all, that it's a high stakes game. It's not something that you go into without completely understanding what it requires and what it takes. So that is my first point. The next point that I put here is that, failure in entrepreneurship is real. It's a reality. You will always fail. If you don't fail, then there's a problem, because then you definitely must be doing something wrong. When you're doing something right, then you realize that failure is part of entrepreneurship. And I like to prepare people's minds with this. So whether you are just going into a startup or you are already in the startup or small business or social enterprise, you must understand that failure is part of entrepreneurship. And preparing your mind for that Some will say, oh, why do I have to prepare for failure? If you don't prepare for failure, then you are preparing to actually fail far woefully than you would have failed. Because if you prepare for failure, then you understand that there's no, what's the word? It's not cut and paste. It takes a whole lot of work to be able to get to be a successful entrepreneur. And then again, even successful entrepreneurs will tell you that success is also relative when we talk about entrepreneur. The next slide, please. So again, as I said, these are just to set the tone, the conversation tone, in terms of the panels that we're going to be having today. And one of the questions that I asked here is, that's for those of you that are already in business, did you at any time, and for those of you that are going in or thinking about, going and starting up your own business, have you performed due diligence on this, your wonderful business idea? It is one thing to have a business idea. It is another thing to clearly understand what that business idea entails. So a couple of years ago, and I say a couple of years ago because this happened that I used to do a lot of I am teaching and all of that with a lot of the organizations, Faith Foundation, teaching on entrepreneurship, talking about entrepreneurship. And, the whole hog was about creating business ideas, creating business plans. So you have this fantastic business plan. The idea looks absolutely fantastic on paper, but the reality, the performance of that business idea throws the entrepreneur off balance. So have you done due diligence on this wonderful idea? What are the things that need to be known? Have you understood it? Have you taken a bit of research into people that already are perhaps not necessarily in the country where you are, but what is the best practice that you can find concerning this business idea that you have? It's so important because when we talk about thriving as an entrepreneur, these are some of the conversations that we don't have with ourselves. Many of us just want to be our own boss. Again, as I said, we just want to be CEO. And I have, some time ago, I had a conversation with Mr. Taiwo Adepoju around what CEO actually means. It's not just about, putting a card, having a card, and saying to people, I'm the founder CEO. It's beyond nomenclatures, and it's beyond you just having that name attached to you. It comes with a lot of responsibility. And so some of those responsibilities are what I have put as reality checks questions that you need to ask yourself. Is your startup a get rich quick scheme? I want to get rich. I always see that, my boss drives the best car. He does this, he does that. So me too, I want to get rich and I need to be my own boss. And the only way I can get rich is to start up my own business. So you need to ask yourself, in reality, is that what this is all about for me? Some people will say, oh, it's about having my own time, or being able to manage my own time. And I laugh because if you really want to succeed as an entrepreneur, then you will not have any time. It is
Hello. Can we all? Yeah, I'm sure the network. I should be back on shortly. So just bear with us. Bear with us. Bear with us. Bear with us. Wow, I was I was enjoying that already. I'm sure the audience, they are truly fired up to take this on. So I'm sure she's going to come on shortly. So please please stay tuned as we move on in addressing, the key issues that we started off with. And I must tell you, we're getting set. The house is full. Yes, she's back in now. I'm going to be adding her back.
Wow. My apologies. I don't know what happened. I think I got thrown out.
No, I think so. Yeah, we're fine now. So please take up from that point.
Excellent. Great to be back. Okay. So I'll just wait for the slides to come up and we'll go on. So the next thing there is, does your product or service have a target market? So sometimes we have a fantastic idea, but we don't really understand if there's a we feel that it is a good idea and people will pay for it. So we go on with this idea. You need to check, is there a target market for this idea that I want to start up with or that I am selling? What is the market opportunity? What is the market saying? You need to check that. And I'm saying this from experience because a lot of us go into the market and then because we believe that one or two people have requested for this service or this product, then there is a market for it. And then you go in and find out that you are struggling. So you really need to have this reality checks consistently. Have you understood the costs? And do you have the necessary skills to run the business? A lot of us will thrive when we are working for other people. But when we have to work for ourselves, do we have the skills? Because we don't realize we don't have the skills because we have been in an ecosystem, working in an ecosystem where other people fill in the gaps. And you think that you have that total skill to start your own business, and you find out that then you have to struggle. So these are some reality questions that you need to ask yourself before you go into the market, or if you're already in the market. There's nothing that says that because you are in the market, you can also not go back to the drawing board. Your business plan is not a static plan. Your business plan is supposed to be an evolving, dynamic reality check consistently, because what you always have in your initial business plan is not always what the realities of the market speak. So when you get into the market, it's okay for you to keep tweaking and keep innovating on your business model. And we are going to see that as we go ahead. So the next slide for me really identifies, some of the key issues that we consistently need to ensure that, we keep at the topmost of our minds if we have to thrive as entrepreneurs. So in looking through it, you need to understand what the realities of startups are. And I think that this is one of the key areas that we also, as entrepreneurs, do not realize that these are realities. So one of the things you need to understand is that things will be slow at the very beginning. So, and I'm still going to talk about capital, because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and startups and social enterprises, the first thing that they always think is the problem when things are not working out is that, oh, I need money. But the truth is, things are going to be slow from the very beginning. And you need to understand that this is the reality of entrepreneurship. So don't because you have this fantastic idea and 10, 20 people have told you they're going to buy it, they want it. What happens after the first 20 people buy it? Will another 20 be able to buy it? Will another 20 be willing to buy it? So you need to understand the realities. Far more people and financial issues than you will expect. You are going to face a lot of people issues. Building a strong team is difficult. Getting human resource is difficult. And you're going to have financial issues. One thing is going to start happening after the other immediately you start up. So these are the realities, and these are some of the issues that lead to the demand for more and more ecosystems within our society. You must learn to hustle. Really hustle. Some of us think that, when I start up my own business, I'm my own boss. my friends and family must support me. No, they don't have to. They don't have to. And that's what you need to understand. And not just the fact that they don't have to. The fact is that they might not want to, because they might not really believe in the idea. So are you prepared for all those shocks that are going to come? These are the things that when you are motivated to sack your boss and fire your boss, that like they say, the backstory is never told, that you are going to go through hell. You will walk through hell to be able to realize the dreams of being a successful startup or an entrepreneur. When we hear companies like Paystack, they exited with over $200 million, some of us were like, God, when? God, when? But you do not realize how much work they have had to go through to be able to get to the point where they are, and where they are able to exit with such amount of money, and having built a formidable startup entrepreneurial venture. Founder conflict is destructive. So some of us that want to start up, we may want to start up with a partner. Both of you need to have the same values. Both of you need to realize that you will have to work together through it all. And so finding people that have your own set of values and commitment to making things work is always part of the problem and the reality of entrepreneurship. And the truth of the matter is, being successful in entrepreneurship requires you putting so much into it. So again, when I speak to a lot of people, they say, the reason why I'm starting my business is, particularly for women, I want to have a bit more time for my family. I recognize that and I respect that, and that I say to them comes with, you can have a one-man business that doesn't grow beyond a mom and pop shop. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to build a legacy, you want to build a conglomerate at your own, at the level that your business will be willing to operate, eventually family often comes second, even if you won't admit it, because the drive to build a successful business, particularly when you're starting up, will take a lot from you. And the reality of startups and entrepreneurship is that it's about relationships. It's about relationships, and it's about the experiences that you will build along the way. And these are critical issues that you need to realize would take the meat. And these are the things you need to be prepared for. So preparation for me is always very key. And that's why I like to talk about preparation. I find so many entrepreneurs are not prepared before they go into entrepreneurship. Too many of them, have fantasies in their head why they decide to go into entrepreneurship. And I was like that. But having spent how many years down the line, I can look back and see it from another perspective, that the reality of business is that you must be prepared from the start. You must be prepared, and you must understand what you are going into in the first place. The next slide, please. So in talking through that, again, as I said, building an excellent team, for instance, in terms of, entrepreneurship is key, but it's also very difficult. And, people are a very key issue when we talk about entrepreneurship. For a lot of entrepreneurs, they struggle because they have to find good people to work with, and finding good people to work with is always the challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs start with, even beyond and above finance. You can have all the money and still not be able to have the people that you need to work with. So again, as I said here, one of the most frequent questions I get as a mentor to employees is, how do I find money to start my business? And so when you speak to a lot of entrepreneurs and you say to them, what is the one critical thing that you require? And they say, capital, I need money. And by the time you begin to spend time and talk to them, then you realize that they always, first of all, think about money, but they have not done the preparatory work. Nobody is going to throw money at you because you have an exciting business idea. Nobody is going to do that. You need to be able to tell the story of why we should give you money. And this is a critical part, because ask 8, 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs, and they will say to you, what I need to start my business is money. And then you ask them all the other preparatory questions. Oh, have you done this? Do you have that? And they say to you, oh no, I haven't. I'm working on it. Once I have money, I will be able to take on some of those things. That's not true. Beyond just having a business idea. And the other thing is, where is your own money? Where is your own money? Do you have your own money? Because what you want people to throw money at, you must be able to have put your money, your own money, where your mouth is. We've seen entrepreneurs sell every single thing that they have to be able to fund their own business idea. And that's what bootstrapping is all about, self-funding. And that is critical. So when you think about your business, what do you think about? Do you see it only in the light of money, the money that I need? And that's critical. So the next slide for me begins to trigger those conversations that we have to have about funding. And I'm glad that the panels that are going to come after now are going to expatiate further on the requirements and what startups and entrepreneurs in general need to know when they begin to think about, the money issues. Getting funded. So first of all, again, as I said, have you done the groundwork? You need to create a scalable business model. When you begin to think about getting external funding, for me, it's a big issue when I find people are so quick to begin to look for external funding. And then when you ask them how much money have you invested, they give you this bogus ideas about how I've already spent this, I've already spent that, but they have no financial records. They have nothing. So they have not set up the structures in the first place, if you know what I mean. They haven't set up the structures in the first place. That is the foundation of the reason why they are looking for funding. So the first thing is that you have to have a scalable business model. The simple long and short of that is that you are able to increase profits without increasing costs at an equal or higher rate. So you are increasing profits, but you're also not increasing costs. That is what it's creating a scalable business model. A scalable business model is very critical before you get funding. So when you start thinking about funding, I want you to ask yourself, is this business model fundable? Whether it's an app you're creating. So when we talk about startups, we tend to see it more in the tech ecosystem, but it also, as you know, the startup specialist said at the beginning, it encompasses even small businesses, social enterprises, tech startups, and things like that. So it's very critical. The second thing is for you to determine how much money you're looking for and why. You can't say, oh, I'm looking for this amount of money because if I have it, then I'll be able to buy the goods that I want or the products that I'll be able to ensure the service. It's beyond that. You must, first of all, in terms of funding, be able to show that you are cash flow positive. So this is where we are at, and that's where your financial records come in. How many of you have financial records? Some people will say, I'm a small business, I just keep accounts, I know my accounts. No, you have to have complete financial records, irrespective of how small you are. By the time I started my business, as at year 1 of my business, we had an audited report of our finances. I paid a proper auditor to audit our first year, and that's what we've done every single year. Why? Because by the time you go to the point where you are looking for whatever reason you decide to look for investors' money, you must be able to show that you are cash flow positive, which means that your financials, you have an understanding of what financials are. Even if the money is as small as $500 or 100,000 naira, you must be able to show to whoever is giving you money that you understand how to manage money and that you understand the reason why you're getting funded. Again, the third thing is that you have to find the right funding option. And again, as I said, I'm sure that the panel is going to explore deeper in this regard as we go on. So are you bootstrapping? Are you self-funding? Is that the best model and option for you? at the stage, listen to this, at the stage where your business is at, is that the best? Because if you don't realize the stage that you are at, then you're going to run faster than your shadows and you're going to get into trouble. You also want to look at family and friends, for money. But again, like I said, you need to be able to show good faith that when these people invest, you're not just going to manage their money anyhow and then tomorrow you tell them stories. Small business loans, as we have around, maybe by development finances, the BOIs, the development banks and things like that, or SMEDAN loans and all of that. And then you have angel investors, and then you have the venture capital and things like that. So these are the different options, and you need to be able to explore which one works for you at the end of the day. So in saying this, you, again, like I said, the groundwork needs to be done for you to be able to get to the place where you're having this conversation. And I hope and I'm sure that the panels that are coming up in terms of business support and funding for startups will be able to give, shed more light on this particular area. The next slide, please. So talking about funding, here we say that, despite the global pandemic and the economic uncertainty globally, venture capital investments in Africa continue to maintain an upward trajectory by over 400% in the past 5 years. So there's money. There's money for funding. It is available. Venture capitalists are looking for ideas to fund. But is your idea fundable? The idea that you have, is it fundable? That's a very critical question that sometimes we never really sit to ask. Is your idea fundable? Is the service that you are offering, is it a fundable service? What is the growth trajectory? What's the return? What's the likely return on investment? What have you seen? And these are some of the questions. So I have some questions here that you really need to ask yourself as you get to the point where you begin to think about funding. And we're going to see the role of ecosystems in helping in this regard, because sometimes we do not understand the need. And I'm glad that Mr. PREGHAFI really took time to explain how critical the role of ecosystems are when we begin to think about business support and funding for entrepreneurs. These are critical. So the money is there. The money is there. There are people looking for where to put their money. But is your idea fundable? Is it fundable? And that's something that is very critical. So you look at the top startup industries in Africa, and this particular slide is taken from the startup list. So if you look at the top startup industries in Africa, which of the startups are funded, it is not just in fintech. You have even in financial services, you have in agriculture, you have in education, you have logistics, retail, health. So you can have access to this funding. And in Nigeria, the next slide shows us some of the funding that has gone into Nigeria, as it were, some of the areas that have been funded in Nigeria. So here you have the cumulative money that has been raised is $3.1 billion plus. So again, proving to you that there is money for you in funding your startup. But is it a fundable idea? We have a total number of over 219 companies that have been funded in Nigeria, not just across Africa, in Nigeria. And then the least amount any of this business has been able to raise, so the least amount funded was $2,600. So like I said, even if the money is $500, you need to be able to show that the idea is not just fundable, but the idea has the basis for return on investment. The idea has the basis for return on investment. So the questions you need to be able to answer include, so these are the questions that funders will ask you before they give you money. These are the questions that anybody that is interested in giving you money, that understands how businesses work, these are the kind of questions that I, as an investor, will ask you. and you must be able to answer not just offhandedly, but with critical evidence that clearly shows that you understand the market that you're operating in and understand what you're doing. What has motivated you to establish this business? What drives this idea? Why are you doing this idea? Or 10 people in my family told me that it's a fantastic idea. Have you tested the market? Do you understand the market? What makes the service or the product unique? Why is it different? What is its value proposition? What is the problem in the market that you are solving? Have you protected your intellectual property? This particular question is to identify if you understand IP issues. So many entrepreneurs do not take time to deal with the critical issues. Trust me, I know. They do not take time. They just jump into the market. The idea is fantastic, but the preparedness before you can get the support, the preparedness before you can get the funding is also very critical for you to thrive as an entrepreneur. Do you have competition? Some people say, oh, no other person has done it. The people that did it, no. You need to understand that you may have competition that you don't even understand or that do not clearly stand out as competition. So understanding your stakeholder engagement is critical. And that's why doing the groundwork is also very critical. So do you have competition? And if yes, who are they? Who are the competition that you have? Your ability to be able to identify who your competition are is also very critical. What do your sales look like? Since you started this business or you're starting this business, because before you get funding, you need to be able to show that you have already started working in this regard, so you understand what you're doing. Also, what does your sale look like? The next question will be, what's your market share? What is your market share? Do you even understand your market share? Do you have any market share? What are your costs? Currently do you spend money on? What other means have you used to raise money? Have you tried to raise money before? Did you get it? If you didn't get it, why didn't you get it? What did they say was the problem why you didn't get it? Have you worked on it? So what other means have you tried? How did you raise money to even be able to start the business? How do you intend to use this money that you are trying to raise now? If you're asking for $10 million, how do you intend to use it? Clear delineation and clear defining of what you intend to use money for. So you're not using the money to buy new cars and go and live in a pop-up flat in Ikoyi, and then you don't invest it in the business that you do. And realizing, one of the key things you need to realize, and I think that we've seen it, bearing in mind the experiences that we've heard in the past couple of months about investors coming to take over your business. Once you collect other people's money, please know that your founder CEO syndrome has to die. That is the reality. And you are now working for people. So you must be able to deliver on that. I will repeat that. Once you get other people's money, then you know it is not business as usual. So it's not enough for you to behave as if, oh, I've gotten the money and this is still my business. No, it is no longer your business per se. You are now working for people because you've taken their money. So you need to understand that. Again, who is in your team? What's your background? You must be able to tell us what are the biggest challenges that you have experienced. And perhaps that is the reason why you are now trying to raise money, if you understand what I mean. What is your business growth strategy? How do you intend to grow this business? Let's assume you get this money. How do you intend to grow the business? What is your risk management framework? 90% of small businesses never, ever, ever consider risk management. They cannot tell you what their risk management framework is. And if you don't even have a basic risk management framework, then when disruptions happen in the environment, like COVID-19 pandemic, then you can't survive it. Because even with big conglomerates and multinational organizations, not everybody, in fact, I don't think anybody had COVID-19 as one of the risk factors. that came and disrupted businesses, and all businesses had to shut down globally for over 4 months. So you need to already begin to think about it if you don't already have a risk management framework. And the final question here is, what is your exit strategy? Your exit strategy simply says, in the event things fail, how do we investors get our money back? That's it. How do we get our money back? Have you thought about this? Because again, as I said, for you to thrive as an entrepreneur, for you to thrive even as on your own or within an ecosystem, you must be able to answer this critical questions. How do we get our money back? You're looking for money now, it's all well and good. But what if things don't go the way you had expected that it would go? What if COVID-19 happens, or COVID-20 or COVID-21 happens? How do we get our money back? So these are critical questions. So in achieving financial security, every single startup needs to be 100% certain that you are financially ready to set up shop. So get your own resources. Go and bootstrap to a level, and let us be able to see that you understand money. Very few entrepreneurs and startups have learned and understood money. And when we talk about money, we're talking about capital, we're talking about investment. Do you understand what it means? Do you understand what goes into it? Do you understand what will be required of you? Even as a small business, what are the tax implications of the business that you're doing? Are you fully registered? Are you paying taxes? Are you keeping your books? What is your structure like? Do you have any structure? So achieving financial security doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen in the abstract, in the air, in your mind. No, it comes with a lot of work. You need to also understand how to spend. What are you paying for? Are you paying for a large office space? So when people come, they see you have a big office space. Again, remember bootstrapping. How are you ensuring you're starting small but growing exponentially? So managing growth over expenses, managing profit over costs. You need to take advantage of technology. The pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic showed us that technology is what it is. We need to move to technology. So this product, this service that you're rendering, what is the technology component of it? And how does technology drive it? Do you understand the tax and regulatory environment? Have you even thought about it? Which regulator, is under which regulator is your business? Some of us don't even think about it. And so when policies change within the ecosystem, you begin to curse government. You begin to say all sorts of it, because you have not even done your groundwork in the first instance. Some of you come up with ideas and think that, oh, you are the only one that has the idea. And so when other people begin to copy your idea, other people begin to do the same thing that you are doing, your business begins to fail. And then you begin to say, oh, they took my idea, they copied my idea. Like I say, on the night, in that dream, in that vision, when God gave you that idea, he gave it to about 10 different people. The same idea, not a different idea. But it's the person that wakes up and runs with it and continues to innovate. You don't stop innovating. You don't say, oh, this is my business plan, I follow the business plan. No, you keep innovating. You keep changing. You keep running faster than your competitors or your peers within the industry. So now we talk about building an ecosystem. Again, as I said, entrepreneurs do not and cannot exist in a vacuum. You can't. You must be able to look for the support system that you need. And startups are born for a specific context as part of a wider entity. And if you look at that picture there, it is a connection, it's a network, a system. It's always bigger than yourself. You can't do it all alone by yourself. And so you need to be supported by a community of people. And so for communities like the Startup Summit is where you need to be, where they are giving you for free things that you will pay in business schools to get. So when we talk about, business ecosystems, you know, this is what we are talking about. How are you surrounded by the people that you require? And what happens? What do you find in an ecosystem? I think that Mr. PREGHAFI really took time to really, expatiate on what happens within an ecosystem and what is it that is within an ecosystem. So when you are not in a vacuum, look for those places that you are either having co-working space, depending on the kind of service that you provide, or you have funding providers. You see other startups. You see you have agencies, consultants, freelancers, advisory organizations, and mentors. Every founder, CEO must have a mentor. Go and look for people that are not just going to inspire fire in your belly, but are going to look at you in the eye and say, you know what, your idea, after I have put it through the fire, is actually BS. It cannot pass through the fire. So you need to go back and do some more work. Stop going to people that say, oh, fantastic idea. Oh my God, it's going to sell. When they truly know that not more than 10 people are going to buy this idea and you're going to struggle. So being within an ecosystem helps you to find those people, the research organizations, the government agencies operating within the ecosystem that are going to guide you in the things that you do, because that's the only time you can thrive. Now, I have put together, yes, please.
I think this is a great, I even love the flow of what is going on right now. And, the panel is almost excited as to, joining you in this conversation. So one of the key things, just not forcing you, is to have, because now I need to hand over the virtual lecture to the anchor for today. And then she will continue with the proceedings. But yes, the presentations will now go on in an engaging format with the panel.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm almost done anyways.
Great. So, Madam Merola, can we have you on set now?
Correct. So I officially hand over to our anchor, Madam Merola.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo Adepoju, the startup specialist, as well as the host of the this summit that we're having, day 2. Inia Bimbola has been dishing out so much gold and nuggets for all businesses. It's not only relevant to small businesses, it's relevant to all businesses. So, Madam, we've been enjoying every single thing you've been saying, and we are looking forward to you being part of the panelists as well, so that you can share more of the insights you have in your presentation. So I will be introducing the people joining you in the panel discussion for growing as a small business, business systems and support. And the first person I'll be bringing on the screen with you right now is TONYE EDUN. OLUWATOYIN EDUN was born to the family of Mr. Yemi Ayedun and Mrs. Adenike Ayedun over 40 years ago in Nigeria. She is from a family of 5. She's an entrepreneur with interest in real estate, tourism, hospitality, and consulting. She currently sits atop Fusion Group and 2 organizations with a staff strength of over 50 employees. She's recognized for her ability for team building, coordination, and motivation. As a strategic thinker, she's focused, tenacious, resilient, and a result-oriented person. Based on her initial goal to quit at the age of 40, she decided to take a bow from the banking sector in 2014 to pursue her dream. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen, TONYE EDUN.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And it's a real pleasure
Welcome.
to be here with you.
Hello,
I'm sorry,
Tony.
I'm on my camera.
It's great to
I
have
will
you
be able to do it
here. And good morning. Thank you so much for being part of the panel.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you so much, my sister Amy. Thank you. Nice to see you again. And thank you
for problem, but at least we can hear you. So while you work on your video. Thank you so much. Okay, so the second person joining you in the panel discussion is Tolani Thomas. Tolani Thomas is a business development consultant, entrepreneur, and the founder at Halisi Consult, a business consulting agency based in Lagos, Nigeria. With over 8 years of business development in tech and oil and gas industry, Tolani has focused her career on building sustainable businesses and creating real strategies that convert to sales for her clients. She holds a master's degree in international business and management from the University of Bradford, UK. She has consulted for over 100 small businesses in media, healthcare, tech, education, fashion, real estate, oil and gas, beauty, hospitality, and agriculture. She's an ardent supporter of causes that benefit girls and women. She currently serves as the fundraising and developing director at Sanitary Aid for Nigerian Girls, an NGO that provides sanitary products and sanitary health awareness to girls in public schools and IDP camps in 14 states across Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, and all those on the panel, please help me welcome TOLANI Thomas to the virtual panel. Hello, TOLANI.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us, and we look forward to a great deliberation.
Thank you.
Next person I'll be bringing on is Okay. So the next person I'll be bringing in is Mrs. O. Mrs. Set up something that would bring wealth to her state's exports outside the state. She has been attending fairs and other networking events and felt the burning need to start an agro-processing hub that was specially designed to empower working mothers in agro-business, even while guaranteeing that the standard of goods produced by the hub could compete with goods produced in any part of the world. If you look through all your supermarkets and all major food places, you will see Food Express, which is the brainchild of Mrs. O. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the agricultural powerhouse, Mrs. O, to the panel. And our moderator for this session, who is Ms. Shirley Hills. She was here with us yesterday and she is back again today to anchor this session. Please welcome her to the stream as well. Okay, so Shirley, you have the floor. Please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Marola. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, TOLANI. Good morning, Mrs. ORIJH, and good morning, Madam Ini Abimbola. Such a pleasure to share this panel with you. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, and Mrs. TONYE EDUN. All right, so Madam EDUN, do we have your video sorted now?
No, not yet, unfortunately, but I'm working on it.
Okay, good. So we're just going to dive right in. I loved the conversation. I love the conversation with Madam Abimbola. That keynote was very instructive, very insightful, and a rich one. Okay, at this point, we need to bring in Mr. TONYE, I guess, TONYE PREGHAFI. Can he join us? Okay, good. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good to have you. So,
thank you.
Our focus today is on growing small business, and we are talking on business structures, business systems, and business support. So, we, in a nutshell, I mean, we all know that running a startup, especially in our climb, in our business ecosystem, the current business ecosystem that we have right now, is no small feat. It's no small feat, but together with all these insights, with the expertise that's coming, that we're sharing here from our years of experience and expertise, you know, we can share and throw more light on how younger people or, you know, startups can actually grow their business. So, and of course, the situation we find ourselves in, which is the COVID-19 pandemic, has really brought a lot of light into what it entails in building a business, especially with regards to adapting, pivoting, business resilience, business continuity, business sustenance and the rest. So this is very phenomenal because we need to start at this stage to begin to bring in information that will guide us in existing startups as well as emerging startups. So I like just going to highlight the situation that Madam Abimbola put to us concerning reality checks that we need to have in place before we, go on with our businesses, of course, like startups. So let me start with Mr. TONYE. What, in your opinion, are those critical components that startups need to grow their businesses, especially in the climate that we find ourselves?
Okay, thank you very much for that. These are really difficult times for businesses, and I love the way Ms. Abimbola put a lot of the issues forward, and the fact that she called them reality checks. A lot of us in this part of the world do not really face those checks, and we believe that just venturing into a business is going to resolve itself as we proceed, but that's not the case. One of the critical things that I think that people should look out for at this moment is knowledge and skill acquisition. You need to be aware of where you are. You need to be aware of the industry you want to play in. You need to be aware of the trends, the current trends in that particular industry. Technology is playing a major role today, and the skills you require in January of 2020 are not the skills you require today, December. For example, in January, when we didn't have COVID, you could take your time making decisions, analysis paralysis, as they put it. But today, with what we have, if you have to sit back and begin to wait before you take decisions, a lot of things are going to happen that will take over whatever plans you have. Like she rightly noted, when you sleep and dream and ideas are put in your head, you're not the only one that has that idea. It's like driving and meeting traffic in a particular route and thinking in your head, oh, I know about another route that is usually free, and you go there and you see it, because the same way you're thinking about it, others are also thinking about it. It's the person that takes the action first that will make a headway. Secondly, for businesses to scale at this stage, there's a need for them to. I always like to mention government in these parts of the world, not because they stifle growth, but because in our clients, government plays a major role in policy and regulations. In other parts of the world, you find government trying to come up with policies and regulations that will enable startups to thrive, that will enable startups to have access to support, business support, both locally and internationally. Government creates the enabling environment that brings people in to be able to offer services that ordinarily people will pay through their noses for, and that is where subsidies come in. I don't think that subsidies should be only in the area of providing utilities like fuel and the likes. You can also support startups by seeking knowledge. What a startup here will use $1,000 to do, government can provide subsidy and you get it for $100. That is an area that I think that government can assist also through policies and regulations. Why not overflogging it also? Funding is one of it. That's why the fact that Ms. Abimbola talked about bootstrapping, that's very critical, because you can't just have an idea and the next place you want to walk up to is a bank and say, give me money because I have this idea. I dreamt and I saw certain things. But for startups to be able to scale, there has to be strong support through funding, whether through local banks or through access to investors internationally. But I like the way she also ended the funding part, which is that the minute you get other people's money into your business, it is no longer your business. Your mentality has to change. It is now our business. And so the ideas have to be accepted, because anybody that is bringing money in, private equity companies will bring in money for 5 years, at the maximum 7 years.
Absolutely.
And they want to pull out those funds with interest. And so where are you going to be in 5 years when those funds are pulled out? Is your business going to die? And so if anybody is bringing money into your business, allow them to also to give ideas on how to make that business scale. Because nobody is putting money into your business, and they are not philanthropists. They don't want to dash you the money. And they also want to make something out of it. So I think these 3 key areas, will guide and help our startups scale exponentially.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Tolani, this next question is to you. But of course, we're all in the panel, so we're just going to share ideas. When you're talking about, we know that no one size fits all businesses. So what core business model or business models can startups actually leverage on, to grow their business, to build, grow, and scale their business? Hi, Tolani, are you with us?
Is the question for me, Shirley?
Yeah, are you there?
I'm here. What's the question for me?
I'll take the question again. Yes, it was. So I'm saying, it's fine. Welcome back. So I'm saying, what core or critical business models can we highlight and explore for startups to leverage on, as a platform to grow their business? I know that no one size fits all businesses. So can we look at the several business models that startups can leverage on?
Okay. So in the new normal, we found that a lot of the older business models that were successful in the past are not really as successful in today's world. So, for example, your normal brick and mortar isn't doing as well. People don't want to walk into stores and get access to your products and services like they used to before. So now people are more attuned into e-commerce business models, which was already the trend, but now it's more apparent that e-commerce business models, applying e-commerce principles to your business model is the way to run your business going forward. You can see, for example, in the UK, there's a fashion business group that is currently shutting down, and over 30,000 people are going to be out of work. That's Dorothy Perkins, Topshop, Topman. And those businesses were heavily reputed for being high street fashion brands that every time anyone visits the UK, they have to go to one of those shops. And they were a cornerstone of the economy, but right now they are in big financial trouble. So this goes to show that the smaller businesses that were implementing e-commerce business models got it right, because with an e-commerce business model, you are available on a global scale, and you're constantly iterating and developing your business platform to cater to a global audience easily without the constraints of having to run a brick and mortar shop sort of business model. So I think e-commerce business models are the way to go for businesses going forward.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Madam TONYE EDUN, you want to throw light on that as well?
Yes, please. Thank you very much for that, Tolani. Great insight. For me, I think it's about time the beautiful thing about 2020 is it has caused each and every one of us to actually pause and to reflect. So I think the very first thing any business owner wants to do right now is to actually sit back and practice mindfulness. You need to go back into the source being, why did I start this business in the first place? And how do I want to navigate with the current situation of life? not just of business. So when you start to practice mindfulness, you start to pay attention to your core values, to so many things that matter to you. You focus on developing your mental strength, which is going to be very critical as you navigate the next 2 to 3 years, of the business surgeon. So you need to do that first and foremost. The next thing you want to do, which is that you need to go back and review what we call the business model canvas. Like Mr. Toya said, it's a knowledge-led economy. We can't run away as business owners from gaining more and more knowledge. We need to actually avail ourselves of all these opportunities to learn and to increase our capacity to learn. And you need to go back to what we call the business model canvas in business school. This helps you to just refine your thoughts around the product you already have and actually look inwards and ask questions. For example, your value proposition last year probably doesn't hold anymore this year. So like Tolani just said, the whole Topman group has had to become bankrupt because the value proposition of last year was high street selling. And this year you have to go digital. So you need to go back and look at that, your model, and think of what the new normal and what it looks like and how you're going to be able to position your business going forward. So you need to look especially at your value proposition. What problem are you solving? That was what the question Amy was asking. What problem are we solving? Is that problem still relevant in today's world? If it's no longer relevant, is it an opportunity for you to pivot? So this is another model you want to look at. Do I want to actually use the resources that I have right now to develop a complementary product or to develop a complementary market? So you can either pivot into a new product or pivot into a new market. And what you're trying to do is just to make sure that the assets you currently have can be utilized to create something different or to create the same thing, but to a different category of people. So you need to think about that very quickly. And of course, you need to digitalize. Digitalization is the way to go. So you need to embrace e-commerce. We all need to embrace this new normal. Talking about, you need to cut your cost. You need to think about those things that are not necessary to your core business. So like Tolani mentioned, something like brick and mortar, you need to start to embrace the culture of co-working so you can shed some unnecessary weight and you can focus on what will really help you to develop your business. These are some of the things you need to do very quickly. You need to begin to learn to pull your growth levers. Where do I have opportunities for growth? Is it in the unit of, can I increase the number of units that I'm currently selling? Or do I need to work on my pricing? A lot of the value chain has been disrupted right now. Supply chains have been disrupted right now. How do I still remain relevant to the business in my market? And how am I able to hold my own market share even as things are changing very quickly? So these are some of the thoughts you need to have and begin to act upon very quickly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. So I've been hearing a lot about e-commerce, going online, changing the model, the business model to a more digital model. Now, this question now is to Madam Abimbola. How can we, how can we accommodate globalization? Because that's pretty much what it's all about. You're in your local space, but you are doing things globally. What are those key critical things that startups, business owners need to, have or imbibe? Digital, we're talking about digital leadership, digital business, e-commerce, what are those critical things that are necessary, basic, because we're talking about startups. What are those basic things that we need to imbibe, to take our businesses local?
That wasn't very clear, but I want to understand is that what are some of the critical things that startup owners need to have to be able to compete globally? I think that 2020 brought out quite a lot of new innovations, if you will, and then the strength about the Internet of Things, if you will, and how much technology is the changing or has changed the dynamics of entrepreneurship. So before now, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, perhaps struggled with so if you have service providers like us who are consulting firms or consultants, I know quite a number of people that struggled with the fact that they now had to do things remotely and having to use technology to set up trainings, to be able to have meetings with their shareholders or with their advisory boards and things like that. So what 2020 has shown to us, as some of the other panelists have clearly indicated, is that to be in the global market, we also need to realize that digital currency is very critical. And then, of course, when you talk about e-commerce as well, you also need to be able to see how your service or your product can be digitally or technologically available. So it's no longer, as you say, I think it was TOLANI that said it, that it's no longer just having the brick and mortar store place that people come into. It's about pivoting now to say, what is the next phase? What's the next thing that I need to be looking for? And understand that technology is expensive, but also look at what are the basics that I can use. So looking at it from that perspective, so small businesses can begin to identify, and that's where the point about an ecosystem comes, because there are already existing ecosystems, as I wanted to show in my final page of my final slide, is that there are existing ecosystems. So we even have the Lagos the Lagos State entrepreneurial ecosystem that has identified the different players, if you will, that are available to help, whether it's in scaling up with technology, scaling up with e-commerce, scaling up with making your services available online. And these are the things that startups and entrepreneurs need to look at. You need to seek for knowledge. You need to seek for knowledge. I think that one of the problems that a lot of young entrepreneurs have is that they're lazy. They want the knowledge to be given to them. They look for those, so what should I do? Okay, so how do I know? You also need to seek that knowledge. You need to go out of your way to seek that knowledge, to say, this is where we are at 2020. This is what is required for businesses. This is how business has changed. What do I need to do? And I think that that's very critical. So these are the key things for me that entrepreneurs need to look at. You need to understand that you must do that work by yourself. One of the things that I said was, how prepared are you for the unexpected, for instance? So I think a couple of maybe weeks or months ago, we were having this conversation about the government shutting down the internet. What would you as a business owner do if the internet in your country was shut down and e-commerce or digital business did not happen anymore? What are the other options? Are you prepared? Do you even know what those options are? Is WhatsApp marketing something, or WhatsApp business something that you have thought about? So what are the different other options that are available for commercially viable entities to thrive? So these are key conversations, because unexpected things can happen. We don't know what 2021 will bring. It might, God forbid, it might be that, there might be a global, North Korea can decide that you never know. So, but are we as entrepreneurs thinking about that? And so when I have sessions, even with C-suite executives, to talk about preparing for 2021, and one of the key things, so even last week we were talking about looking through the risk management framework of a multinational firm. And I asked the risk managers some very critical questions. What are your assumptions? And they're like, assumptions. I said, what 2021 taught us as business is that we must create assumptions within the risk management framework. We must create assumptions, and our assumptions must be high, hairy, audacious. It's the worst thing that you can think about. A nuclear blowout, a nuclear war, whatever. Do you understand? You must begin to be, that's what 2020 has taught us. So for small businesses, what are you looking at? What are the different areas that you are engaging? The incongruous. what is expected, what you expect. What if it goes out of line? What will you do? The process needs, if current technology for whatever reason becomes insufficient, as I said, to address an emerging challenge, what would you do? What about the human and economic factors? Are you thinking about that? So when we look at the demographic, we've seen, for example, in the Northeast, with the things that are happening in the Northeast, there is a definite factor that there will be a shift in demographic. People are going to move. People are going to move. We're already having food shortage because of the crisis in the Northeast. What are you doing in terms of distribution line? Are you beginning to think about it? What about perceptual variations? You know, so there are quite a number of factors. Like I said, the need to begin to look for new knowledge. Every single day you wake up, you are looking for new knowledge that's going to drive how your business changes and the new opportunities that can come with the change. I think it was TONYE that said something about looking at, you know, pivoting to say, this is the way I've always sold this product. This is the way I think this product has always sold. But what is the new normal? What is the new way? What should I be thinking about? Maybe that nobody has thought about, or is not even happening in Nigeria already, but I need to begin to think about. And I think that, you know, these are some of the ways that, you know, entrepreneurs and startups can begin to look at not just technology, but the business in its entirety.
Hi, Shirley.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That brings.
Can I quickly add something to what she said? Because there's
okay, go ahead, Mr. Tonye.
There's a critical point I would like to state here.
Go ahead, as brief as possible, please.
Yeah, very brief. It's as regards the issue of e-commerce moving from brick and mortar to online stores. And you know, what this year has shown us is that a lot of things can change overnight. The COVID-19 pandemic affected global supply chain. And so if you are somebody who is into drop shipping, you're an e-commerce store that don't hold inventory, and you have to rely on partners abroad, be aware that you know, your supply chain is going to be affected. How you get your products is going to be affected. How you get your raw materials is going to be affected, because flights don't move as often as they used to move. The aviation industry was, you know, was impacted by the challenges that came with COVID-19. And so I agree with the point that everyone needs to begin to revisit their business model canvas. How do I get my raw materials? Can I source for them locally? You know, such that if anything happens again in 2021, I will not be as affected as I was in 2020. You know, so I just needed to chip that in. Despite the fact that we're all moving online and all that, if whatever it is that you're offering also has to do with international, other countries outside the world, be ready for disruptions that might come, as you know, we saw in 2020 also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tonye, for that wonderful site. This is and also welcome Mrs. the stream as well. I just let the view that session starting in exactly 12 minutes. And another stream will be available. So please check our Instagram page for the link and join the next panel session for the viewers while this one continues on this stream. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Marola.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so yeah, thank you, Mr. Tonye, for that input. I want to focus now on Mrs. ORIJH. I hope I got that correct. You know that businesses are actually, building a company is the best way to bring people together to actually fulfill a vision. Now, when you're talking about growing your business, I know that in Madam Abimbola's keynote address and, you know, submission, she did talk about how to get the right set of people, you know, who are the, you can't do business alone. So in your opinion, how can startups, because it's usually a tough one, you know, how can startups actually get the right people, you know, to join the team, to fulfill the vision, you know, and to run a company that actually serves a purpose? How can we have purpose-driven teammates or people to join our to fulfill the vision?
Oh, okay, that's a tough question. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that question. How do you get people to come together? I think you just keep trying. I don't think there's in my opinion and my experience, I don't think there's a formula that works for everybody. Look for similar minded people, goal driven, people who have who are trying to attain certain goals, same goals that you're trying to. Because I think it's easier when you work with people who are of the same mindset as yours, who have the same mindset as yours. Because I've tried working with people, trying to convince people, let's go on this journey, let's do this. And I realized that I was frustrated because their path was different from mine. But when I, and even in my industry, when I work with people who have similar journeys, there's some who, yes, we might be going, it looks like we're going the same way, but the way they're going about it is different, or they don't understand your energy. So I think it's easier when you work with people who, okay, understand the journey, have similar goals, are on the same energy level as you. You have to learn to read people's energy and work with them where they are. It helps you move faster. They say if you want to go fast, you go alone. And if you want to go far, we go with people. But if you're going with people who are not on the same wavelength as you, it actually drags you back. So and the thing about it is that you don't need a lot of people. I tell people all the time that yes, Jesus had 12 disciples, but even the 12, he had 2, 3 that were closer to him, because sometimes that's all you need, 1 or 2 people in your corner on the same path, pushing you and helping you to attain, checkmating you. Because sometimes you're doing things and you think you're on the right path, and someone on the outside looking in can say, no, sis, you need to sit down and check this, go back, retrace your steps and do it this way. So yes, startups need people to collaborate. That is where collaboration is what we need in these times to leapfrog. However, you cannot collaborate with people who are not on the same journey, who don't have the same vision or passions that you do. Is anybody there? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We're here.
Okay. I was done talking and I didn't see anyone, so I was wondering. Okay. Did you hear what I said? Did it make sense?
Yes, we heard you.
Okay. I'm done speaking. Did you have any other question?
I think there's a lag with the moderator's internet.
Pardon?
I think there's a lag, like there's because
Okay.
our screen has frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll probably come back online shortly.
I think that the moderator has been thrown off.
Yes.
Yes, she has been.
I think she's back.
How's it doing?
It's going good. It's going good. But we're still yet to connect. It's still trying to. We got disconnected.
Hi, madam. You're back on. We can see you and we can hear you.
So my audio is removed.
Okay. This one, but this one is good. Yes, it's sharp. Mm-hmm.
Are we good?
Yes.
So we connected now? Oh, okay. Okay, so sorry about the break in transmission. I really hope we didn't have to say these things I expected, but of course we know these things are expected. Internet glitches. So pardon us, please. I apologize for that. We're in the studio, the Startup Summit studio, and we have a lot of people logged in. Okay, so we were talking about people, and I got the insight from Mrs. ORIJH. Thank you for that insight, even though I got cut out at some point. The next thing I want us to just look at before we wrap up this session, because we need to wrap this up pretty soon, is about business resilience. Madam Abimbola had talked about, risk management and, business continuity and all of that. Now, are we saying that we should start planning, when you do your business plan or business projections, we should plan for a year or 2 years? Because, businesses plan for 5 years, 10-year projections. But with this pandemic and how hard that it hit a lot of businesses, we know that, our business projections now, our business plan projections now are now shortened, especially when we need to accommodate our business resilience strategies. How many startups have business resilience strategies in their plan, in their structure, in their system? Because many people didn't see this coming. But how can we begin to, impute in our structures, in our strategies, a business continuity plan, such that when we are hit by change or disruption, and we need to know that change could actually be anticipated or unexpected. We could have change that are actually anticipated, but how do we manage this disruption, these changes, such that it does not affect our business plan projection for the year in view or the years in view? I'm opening it up to everyone. Everybody can give their input. So I'm just going to start with Madam Abimbola, because she's talked so much about risk management. What are those core things that we can, do to build a business resilience and a business continuity plan?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Shirley. I think one of the things you said just now was, do we still have annual plans, or how should we be looking at it? And for me, one of the things that I have learned is really that you can still have your annual plans, and this is one of the things I say to my clients as well. You can have your annual plans, but at the same time, break down the annual plans into short terms, so perhaps quarterly, so you keep reviewing every single quarter to ensure that, because let's be frank, when we started January 2020, we were all gearing to go in 2020, so everybody was looking at their annual plans, but very few people had the thought to look at it in piece bits. And so by March, the entire country had to go into a lockdown, which was complete business disruption. So in terms of resilience, I think that one of the key things that we talk about resilience is that a lot of businesses have had to learn the reality of resilience and business continuity in the light of COVID-19. So understanding what the business continuity risk, whether it's from cyber attacks, whether it's from COVID pandemics like COVID-19 or chronic or flooding, it could be, civil disturbances, for example, like the NSAS that made it impossible for people to move around as much as possible. But in the light of what has happened, I think that resilience is very critical. And I normally talk about, the 7 C's of resilience, which is competence. You need to interrogate your competence, not just as a business, but as a leader. Whoever the founder, CEO, leader of the enterprise is, you need to consistently interrogate your competence. You also need to look at your confidence. How confident are you in what you are selling and what you are giving out, in whether it's a product or a service? And that helps you to be able to sell it better. What are the connections that you need to make? What is the character of the people, of the team that you have? What contributions are you putting in place? What's your coping and control mechanisms in place? So these are key things that you need to look at when you are trying to build in your business continuity plan, or ensuring your business continuity. Your continuity has to identify the relevant risk. As I said earlier, risk analysis and business continuity plans are now looking at even bigger assumptions of what can happen. And what that sincerely means is that you should be able to, like I said, have quarterly plans to say, in the event of whether it's internal vulnerabilities, your entire system had to shut down, whether it's even, like I said, weather events like flooding and things like that. What are the temporary measures or quick fixes that can ensure that your business remains? COVID-19 has made it possible for even those that have brick and mortar to be able to say, yes, we can go to the office. At the same time, we can still operate online. Some businesses are still doing the 2 days off, 2 days on, 2 days online, or 2 days remote and 2 days on site, just to be able to be sure that the business continues irrespective of what is happening. So I think that as entrepreneurs begin to think about it in not just a static way, then they can begin to look at their business continuity plans and their resilience metrics in far more greater details than we have done before now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello? Okay, so yes, that's about business resilience. I would like to have your inputs, Madam TONYE EDUN. Can you give us your inputs with regards to how businesses can, thrive irrespective of, things that come to shortchange us?
Thank you so much once again. What we should also try to focus on is the fact that while some people have had a doom year, some other industries have benefited from COVID-19 pandemic and had a gloom year. So when you're building a resilient culture, it shouldn't be all about only the doom. We must also build our structures, our internal structures, like Amy said, to be able to actually attract and be able to take advantage of opportunities that might also present themselves in the course of a year. So for example, you want to say to yourself, you want your structure to be as nimble, as flexible as possible, that we are able to adapt. Adaptability is the main tool for resilience. So how nimble are we? How flexible are we? How open-minded are we to be able to take advantage of either a gloom or a doom? So you are telling yourself, okay, you know what I want to do is, if things don't go this way, so I've had my 1 year forecast, I'm measuring my 1 year forecast maybe on a monthly basis through BPR or other kind of measurement tools you want to use. But you have already also taken into cognizance the risk framework. So your business risk is there. And you have seen the sort of things, and you have provided mitigants as well. You want to be guided by measuring quarterly or monthly as you wish. But at the same time, you're telling yourself, we also need to have a market boom strategy. Now, if there are opportunities to actually capture a new market or position a new product in the marketplace, how ready are we? Do we have the factories? Can we quickly adapt? Can we convert a factory that's meant for cement? Can I convert it into a factory that can begin to make steel overnight? What would I need? What resources do we have in place? So we need to make sure that we have a balance so that you know, we're not in a place where we can now actually track and get success, and we're just sitting down there, hands folded, not knowing what to do. So it's a two-way balance. That's what I'm trying to say here. So your business resilience model is critically about adaptability. Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is one topic that I enjoy so much. So I just want to also throw more light. I have in the past put up 5 characteristics that I believe that 5 components that I believe that every business resilience strategy must have. I'm just going to share with us, and then we can, you know, continue the conversations and bring it to a close. So you need that business continuity plan. The business continuity plan helps to rehearse at preferred responses. You know, like Madam EDUN has said, the preferred response to change, the preferred at any given point in time. Are you just going to back down or back out, or are you going to sit back and re-strategize? So that's what your business continuity plan must entail. Secondly, we need to talk about the disaster recovery plan. You know, when change is not usually disastrous, right? Every disruption is not usually disastrous for businesses or entities, but we need to have a disaster recovery plan that's structured in to enable the business or the organization recover from real life disasters, whether expected or anticipated. Thirdly is a vision and a value protection plan. Business resilience strategy is to ensure that we have that we protect the vision and the value of the stakeholders, the value of the business that is in view, you know, because at a point, are you going to, that's why when Madam Abimbola was talking, she said, what is your why? Why are you in business? What solution are you bringing? What's the purpose of that business? Are you going to change your focus because there is a disaster or there is a disruption? So we need to have that vision and value protection plan in the business resilience strategy, and then of course an opportunity exploration plan, because during pandemics or disruption, it's actually an opportunity, and business leaders need to begin to see change and disruption as opportunities rather than as catastrophes. So when we look at change or disruption or pandemics or threats, you know, we need to start looking at the opportunities that we can get from this, from the change, you know, or from the disaster. So there has to be an opportunity exploration. What can I get out of this scenario at this point in time? And then finally, we need to have a social responsibility plan. I say this because to ensure that against all odds, the organization is still being empathetic towards the community, towards its internal and external community, of course. So the business resilience strategy is very critical, and startups are it's not too early for startups to begin to build business resilience in their systems or in their structures. So, okay, I want to have your final words, Tolani Thomas. This has to do with collaboration. How can we get the support system that we need as business leaders, business owners, or even new business owners? Because I'm asking this because coming from the point of view of our interconnectedness as businesses, we can't do business alone. Sometimes we've heard of the pay stack story. Sometimes you need to, you know, merge. You need to get into a merger, or you need to get into some sort of joint ventures or what have you. How can we get support? How can we, you know, find the right support system that will help the business to stay alive, to survive before we start even thinking about thriving? In your opinion, briefly, please.
Thank you very much for that question, Shirley. In my opinion, it's sales expert, business development consultant. So my take on this is going to be sales driven. I believe when it comes to collaboration, you should look to strategic partnerships. That is partnering with a startup that has a similar target market as you do, as a startup yourself. So what I would advise is, in collaboration, you should always look to reaching a new audience, reaching a new market, getting new eyes on your business, getting more people to, see what you do, and be able to identify with what you do, and be able to patronize your business as well. So that's what those are the key points for me when it comes to collaboration. Um, I would say startups should partner with each other or collaborate with each other if they have a similar audience, similar target market. Um, for example, let's say you're in the business of selling clothes, you're in the fashion business. You should collaborate with maybe, let's say, a makeup brand that targets the same audience as you. If you're in fashion business for women, you should collaborate with a makeup brand that obviously is targeting women as well. And you can have a symbiotic relationship where your audiences sort of exchange. So the collaboration has to be mutually beneficial for both parties. So yeah, that's what I have to say about collaborations. For me, collaborations have to be sales driven because the bottom line is, always number one for me. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Tolani. Mr. TONYE, can you give us your own opinion on how we can imbibe the right support system?
Okay, thank you very much. So support is critical for any business. You can't live in isolation, and you can't live in a vacuum. One of the things I said during my presentation is that I'll advocate the need for creation of entrepreneurial support organizations, which are going to be industry focused. So if you're going to be talking about collaboration and support, you will actually go to these organizations within your own industry where you find people of like minds, and then there such collaborations can be easy. Instead of now looking for people that do not have the same understanding or vision or drive that you have for your business. So support organizations are critical. We find out that a lot of people, a lot of small businesses, a lot of startups want to have everything, want to handle everything themselves. You cannot handle everything across the value chain of your business. And so with that, always look out for critical support groups that can help you scale. It's very important. You can't do everything yourself. You can't be the one sorting out your power. You can't be the one sorting out your water. You can, if it is possible for you to outsource some of those things, please do. With that, I'm sure that you will focus on your core and achieve the desired results that you have set out to achieve. That's the little I can say about that. Thank you very much. You're muted, Shirley.
Thank you very much for that observation. Okay, so I said this brings us to the end of this panel session. We can't cover everything in one day, but like Madam Abimbola said, seek knowledge. Most times we are too lazy we want things done for us. We want it to be done for you. Go out there, seek knowledge, and look for ways that you can implement the knowledge you're getting. Insights without action is useless. Information without action is frustration. You're just going to be frustrated because you'll be telling yourself, oh, I know these things, why is it not working for me? That's because you've not moved the needle. You've not taken the step to move the needle, to go to the next level. So you need to make moves. You need to move. So I know that a lot of startups, a lot of new business owners are in here, and they're looking for how to scale their businesses. You've heard a lot from all our experts, our speakers, our panelists, and I can only wish and pray that you are going to take action. You're going to take action, but because it's not enough to just sit in this room and pen it down, add to your portfolio of conferences you've attended, and your business is still suffering. It is time. This is very timely because it's time for us to bounce back. It's time for us to get into 2021 revived and with the knowledge and the strategy to move our businesses to the next level, irrespective of how far we've had to pivot or adapt to the new normal. So I implore all of us to take the right steps, to move our businesses forward. And someone had asked in the comment section that about mentorship. How can she afford it? Because it's not cheap, you know. And I say there are a lot of platforms. There are a lot of platforms that you can get things for little as nothing, but you must be willing to put something. Anything you do not invest into your resources don't have to be money, it doesn't have to be cash. You can serve, you can understudy someone, you can, you know, there's so many ways to. I'm not so big on mentorship, you know, but I'm talking about it. But I know that if I need tutelage, I go under someone to ask for knowledge. There's peer mentorship. So your friends, your colleagues can also mentor you as long as they have what you are looking for. They have the knowledge, they have the experience, they have the strategy of what you are looking to achieve. So get yourself out there, pay for something, pay with your money, pay with your time. You know, this is a free summit. You're gaining knowledge here for free, but nothing is really free. You have to keep something waiting to be in this conference today. So that is you trading your time. You've traded your time for the knowledge that you're getting here. So go out there and fix yourself, fix your business, you know. So the highlights we've talked about, the critical components that every business must have. One of the things that struck me was the risk management, because in the course of business, you could get stuck. How do you prepare for that? You know, you need to prepare for tough times. You're not just going to say, oh no, tough times. We are all Christians. We are all believers in something, you know, but with business, you must be critical and you must be ready for the rocks that you're going to hit on the way. You know, it's not a curse. It's not inevitable. You know, you must hit those rocks. But when you get there, how do you navigate? So we've also talked about support systems. You cannot achieve anything by yourself. So how are you going to, what support system are you going to imbibe to help you scale your business? You know, and so that you're not wearing yourself out. Now, then we talked about business resilience and why business owners need to foster business resilience or business resilience strategies in their structures, in their systems. Very important. Okay, without further ado, I want to thank this panel. I want to thank every one of you for your input, very expert and laudable input. Thank you so much for being with us today. We would continue the conversations on the social media platforms of the Strengths Africa group and take it up from there. I appreciate every one of you. All of us here at Strengths Africa, I appreciate you. And it's been a wonderful time being your moderator at this panel. I learned so much as well. And of course, I would keep the connection going because I also need my business to rise and thrive. So for some of you, I'm going to be reaching out to you. Thank you so much for giving so freely. Giving so freely. In fact, that's the word, giving so freely. Thank you so much. All right, that's it for now. We move over to the next panel. God bless you all, and thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and bye for now.
Yeah, bye for now.
Thank you.